Welcome to another episode of the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast, your weekly dose of news and advice that comes to your pocket every single Saturday. Holding it down, here we got Mac, Mark, Scott, and Landon. Enjoy today's show. Well, Tom Brady is officially a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. My first reaction to this is, are you kidding me? Is this real life? With everything that's going on right now, it just seems like this is par for the course. Boys, what do you think about TB12 going over to Tampa Bay, joining Mike Evans and Chris Godwin?
Well, as the resident Buccaneers fan, I feel like I have to take this one, and I've got some mixed feelings because on one hand, I have said some inexcusable things about Tom Brady in my life, and now I kind of have to naturally transition him into being my favorite player. So it's a little bit hot and cold right now for me, but I sure hope he throws a lot fewer interceptions than their last quarterback did. It's my first
Did you
reaction.
see the video of? Did you see the video that NFL put out about Jameis Winston? So he threw 30 picks last year and then had 28 drops, like INTs that had been dropped. Like he could have had 58 interceptions.
Yeah, he could have. He could have.
Seen that.
It's
yes.
crazy. It's crazy. What do you guys think, Scotty, Lando?
Yeah, I'll say from the Tampa Bay side of this, I mean, Mark, once you digest this properly, I feel like you have to be ecstatic. This to me is the equivalent of just getting all the chips in the world and putting them in. Like, you're going all in. You got 42-year-old Tom Brady, one of the best quarterbacks under pressure of all time, as your starting quarterback. This isn't some long-term development plan. This is, we're going for it all right now, because you don't even know if he's playing football next year. So you're in for
don't get me wrong. It's a
season of
180.
football.
Like, we are going from a guy who's undisciplined and young, and there was so much hype over him coming into the league and being the franchise guy, staying with Tampa Bay forever. But now we saw that system failed, especially with a coach who really wants to win a Super Bowl. I think getting Tom Brady as a piece to help him achieve that is essential. And now we've got a guy who is, like you said, disciplined, great under pressure, throws way fewer interceptions, and maybe not quite as deep of a ball, but he will definitely make those offensive weapons work.
And that's what I want to talk about. As everyone knows, we are a fantasy football podcast, and I need to know how this is going to affect Godwin, Evans. Is it going to make O.J. Howard relevant? Don't get me wrong. All offseason and in the prep going into 2020, we're going to be talking about specifically how these guys are ranked. But Mackenzie, does it just generally, is this going to help Chris Godwin?
Oh, so like Jameis Winston, yes, he was a very volatile player. Mark, you can attest to the many ups and downs, trials and tribulations of Jameis Winston behind center. But from a fantasy perspective, that was a good thing. It was always great when they got down, behind the eight ball in the game script, because you knew Jameis was just going to throw. And if you had Mike Evans or even better, Chris Godwin last year, you reaped the benefits of that. Tom Brady coming in is the exact opposite of Jameis. He's an experienced quarterback who is sure-handed. He knows where his players need to be. He knows when the ball needs to come out. He's very precise and has 6 rings to show for everything. So I think it'll be a different experience for Chris Godwin this year. The volume probably won't be as similar, but I think that they'll have the ball a lot more.
Right.
So I don't know. It's going to be quality over quantity, hopefully. Will Chris Godwin, ascend to the same level as last year? I don't know. I think it's way too early to go down that road.
Scotty.
I personally think that what we're looking at here is really moving stocks on different players. I personally see O.J. Howard being leaps and bounds more efficient and effective next year with Tom Brady as the closest receiver to him as the tight end. I think O.J. Howard's in for a big year next year. You look at Gronk, Aaron Hernandez, like all the tight ends that Brady has used in his prime. And what I see is a downgrade, unfortunately, for the wide receivers. I think there may be as many touchdowns, but I really think Tom Brady is a precise, smart quarterback, and the volume is going to come way down. Because like Max said, he might be smart. I think there's a lot more wins in Tampa's future, but it's the complete opposite of everything we said last year, where Tampa was going to lose and Winston was going to light up the fantasy scoreboard. I think they're going to win. And I think they might be borderline liabilities.
Here's what I want to know, though, and explore really quick, is that, like, I can understand why the Tampa Bay Bucs want Tom Brady. That's who doesn't want Tom Brady. But why does Tom Brady want to go to Tampa? That's kind of what I'm trying to wrap my head around. I understand the allure of, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, two unbelievable wide receivers. But you kind of had that in New England, and you also had more of a running game. The running game in Tampa Bay is pretty lackluster. So what's the reason that Brady wants to go to Tampa?
Well, first and foremost, we know that old people like to move to Florida. We know he's going to be coming off that practice field and going and playing pickleball with his with like some of the people living on the resort with him. So there's that. But I think on a more actual note, I think it's just maybe a recognition of how much money there is freed up in Tampa, and he knows that his face being on that team will completely change the revenue scheme for that whole organization, and ultimately it's going to lead to more money for him and his family, which I'm sure he has no shortage of, but still, I think money is obviously huge for it.
Last year, their defense really stepped it up as well in Tampa. So it really showed that it wasn't just a high-powered offense. Their run-stopping defense really showed out. And it's a young, athletic organization. And with Brady, with the Buccaneers, I think this will attract free agents to come there as well. So he's getting this done early in the free agency process, and which will attract possibly a free agent running back, like Melvin Gordon, Devonta Freeman potentially, and then it also maybe these free agent defenders as well to come and sign a 1 or 2 year deal with Tampa to try to make them a Super Bowl contender with the GOAT at the helm.
I will say, first of all, this does feel like one of those trades you only see when you're like 5 years into a franchise mode in Madden, where you see Tom Brady, sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you laugh and you're like, oh, Madden, like that would never happen. But that being said, I do agree. I think Tom Brady is bold. I think Tom Brady proves he's a competitor who wants to win. And I think maybe what he experienced last season with the complete lack of wide receivers once, they let Antonio Brown walk and that whole saga, I think he thought, I'm not going to win this year. And maybe he thinks this is his last year of football. And I mean, it's kind of shocking to me as someone who would probably value their legacy and just ending it with the team that you made all your history with. But you're right. From a perspective, especially doing this early in the season where you can get some big pieces that know you're in it, the message is as loud as a cannon. The Bucs are going for a Super Bowl win this year. And if you're one of those guys who's coming just at the end of your prime and you still need a Super Bowl ring, you're going to be calling and saying, get me on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Never heard that before.
Yeah, I guess closing thoughts here is that I don't think that Tom Brady is enough to turn this team around. Yes, he'll provide a significant boost and a little bit more reassurance on the offensive end. However, their defense was fairly bad, especially their pass defense. Run defense was pretty good, like top 10 in the league, but pass defense was bad. So they're going to need some help there. I do think that offensively, Melvin Gordon would be like the home run piece if they could land him, give Bruce Arians, a top 5 running back in the league to go along with the top 5 quarterback. That's going to be beautiful. If they can get like a Devonta Freeman instead, it's not the home run that you want, but I think it would be serviceable. So it'll be interesting to see how this kind of plays out and what other moves that they make. But yeah, there could be that allure of, hey, I want to play with Tom Brady. I want to go for this thing. So who knows what the attraction is to Tampa Bay with Brady there now. But hey, hopefully you guys like the video here. We just recently rebranded, no longer the Saturday Morning Snap. We are now the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. You can get us at Twitter and Instagram at snap_fantasy. And the guys' handles are in the episode description below. So thanks so much. Hope you guys are enjoying this free agent frenzy, and stay safe, my friend.